Cafe Networking Podcast promotes successful business experts. I'm Tom Rioch, known as the King of Networking, connecting people throughout the world from my podcast studio in Brazil. And today we talk with Edward Delia, and he's joining us from White House, New Jersey in the United States. Edward Delia is president of Delia Associates, a full-service B2B branding and marketing firm founded in 1964. So Ed, what are the elements of a successful B2B brand?
Well, thanks so much for having me on, Tom. And one of my favorite subjects, of course, so happy to speak to that because we do a lot with B2B brands. So at the core of a B2B brand, often the first element that's most noticeable is the logo mark. Mm-hmm. So that's the quintessential element. And if you think about logo marks and their importance, they date back for generations. Right. Some of the first consumer products that rolled into town on wagons, and people said, well, gosh, I really like that barrel of ketchup. And after a while, the Heinz family said, let's put Heinz on the side of that so people know the Heinz brand. And around that same time, ranchers would often brand their cattle. And the reason for doing so was to signify distinct ownership and distinct value. So from the very beginnings, the concept of brand was rooted in this idea of having distinct value. And that carries forward to present day, and that carries forward to B2B brands as well. So a lot of times our clients say, well, gosh, we're not a brand, we sell to brands, because a lot of our clients are in the supply chain of bigger consumer brands. But buyers of business goods and services assess brands in the same manner that a consumer assesses brands. They're looking for that distinct value. What does that value represent to me? So oftentimes the logo mark is the first evidence of the brand's existence.
And many times I think from startups or beginners that they're sort of overlooked, right? I agree with you. There is value there. And in today's society where we have, just seconds to look or to latch onto anything, the better, the more striking that logo, the better off you are.
Absolutely, and the better chance you're going to get that recall faster and be known for something. What carrying it further than brand messaging is important. Having a strong descriptor, which is an explanation, a functional explanation of what you do, but also some power language, or what we call a brand statement, which is really the brand's call to action out to the world. Sometimes externally, sometimes internally. To use a very commonly known consumer example, just do it,
just do it, that's true.
But it's been proven that B2B brands accelerate 2 times as fast when they have a strong brand message and a strong brand identity versus those that do not, that have more of what we call a functional image or a functional identity. So from logo mark to brand statement, then there's the visual elements that signify the brand, the color scheme, naming of products and services, as well as any physical branded assets, especially for B2B service businesses where at point of sale, the deliverable is invisible, right? It's a service or something that really can't be seen or not tangible.
And that's grown over the years, because I'm from the time when we were industrial manufacturing type things, and that's gone. It's all service industry worldwide.
Yeah. So it's even more important to create what we call tangible evidence of the brand's existence. So that could be through visual modeling of processes. That could be through making sure that the brand's representation is always wearing branded apparel or handing out branded materials to create a tangible reminder of the brand's existence, especially when that deliverable at point of contact is invisible if it's a service. Product brands too also benefit. And then, certainly making sure that any key personnel, which we often call the brand ambassadors, speak the language of the brand, represent the brand, and do so with continuity. And laddering out beyond there, then we look to foundationally all of what we call the brand's touch points. Mm-hmm. And the touch points are all the points of engagement with an audience. What's been very interesting across the COVID era, and even to now, is that a lot of, especially our manufacturing clients, we don't want any more customers. we're booked.
They're full.
We need people. We need people.
Right.
We need people that can satisfy this surge of demand.
Right.
So so a lot of times we shifted our work from, say, the sales and marketing department to the HR department.
And back to the value statement from the corporation of wanting to work there.
Yeah. And I think that, if we speak to manufacturing for a moment, as an industry, and I'm not sure if the same holds true in Brazil, but at least in North America as an industry, they could be doing a far better job of recruiting the next generation of talent into the manufacturing space in general, and showcasing manufacturing as a worthy career path.
Well, I think that's a global situation because I would say the pandemic sort of wrung everybody out. We've seen and followed what happened, companies shutting down or rescaling, downsizing, sending everybody home to work, and now coming back through that hurdle, and that's global, of bringing your people back in. And I like the point when you mentioned about recruiting, because I see on your site say where B2B brands go to grow, and growth today is that machines you can get anywhere. People are hard to find.
You're very right. They are. And, we often tell clients is like, in any economy, in any job environment or employee environment, good people are always hard to find. You can find people, but finding those A-level players, that's a challenge. And they only want to go to a place where they feel that they will have value and meaning and importance as a career path. And, sometimes I walk into some of these manufacturing environments and I'm like, okay, I think the last time this place was redone was 1950, and, and they're kind of looking at me like, well, why do I have to do this? I'm like, well, if you want to attract young talent, you have to.
Well, I agree with you. And the same thing here. You can attract, but you want them to stay.
Exactly.
You don't want the revolving door at the front.
Yeah. And it's getting a little bit precarious when you start to look at some of these operators and machine operators and production personnel, when they're hitting not their 50s, but their 60s and late 60s.
Right.
And, you're looking about who's going to fill that role, and, nobody's behind them.
Right.
That gets a little bit, concerning, right? Because they're going to walk out one day and say, okay, I'm done. And they're going to walk out with a lot of tribal knowledge and know-how that nobody is there to fill that vacuum. So it's a bit of a precarious time for manufacturers. And as I said, I think the industry could do a lot. And I think they're starting to.
Right.
When I say industry, I mean like the industry associations getting the word out and spreading the message that this is a good career path.
But on the plus side too, to your business, there's a lot of opportunity out there.
Yeah. There certainly is. But it's hard to put lipstick on a pig sometimes, as the saying goes. We can, build the best brand expression in the world. But if you walk in and the place looks like, it's a building that should have been condemned 10 years ago, there's bigger problems. But thankfully, a lot of our clients are not quite in that situation.
You're the guy to help do it, right?
Well, we try. We certainly try, Tom, and that's why we get up every day
Well, Ed, I want to thank you for your time. We're coming to the end, but how can our listeners find you?
Oh, great. Yeah, so very easy, Tom. On LinkedIn, Ed Delia, Delia, or they can visit our website, www.delianet.com. That's DELIANET.com.
Very good. So thanks for sharing your time and your experience.
Thanks so much for having me on, Tom. It was great talking with you.
Okay, and again, it's Edward Delia. It's EDWARD, the last name DELIA. Find him on LinkedIn, and again, delianet.com. Delianet.com. Cafe Networking is brought to us by Focus MI Market Intelligence, an agricultural market research specialist in Brazil. More information at focusmi.com. Talk to Tom, talk to the world. Thanks for listening. Until the next time here at Cafe and Networking Podcast.